a tier list video. I think this is like my second tier list video. First one was a really long time ago, and today we are ranking every single boss in one of my favorite games ever, even though I only got it like a couple months ago. That's just how effing good it is. Almost said the real swear word there. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. God, this game is just so goddamn amazing, man. So as of right now, have made I have completed one full playthrough, all the bosses, and I am currently on another playthrough. Um, I think I only have a couple bosses left in my current playthrough. I think that the bosses I have left are Akmodon, uh, Death, Shaft, and Dracula. I think those are all the bosses. Oh, and Galamoth too. So, anyways, how this is gonna work? We're obviously gonna rank all the bosses in this game. Um, at the top is S tier, and at the bottom is Die Monster. You don't belong in this world, because this game has some pretty awful bosses, and we'll get to that later. And then I'm pretty sure Skeleton Leader and Maria are exclusive to the Sega Saturn, which obviously I do not own a Sega Saturn, but if I doubt many people watching this video own a Sega Saturn, but if you do own a Sega Saturn, please comment down below. But anyways, without further ado, we're going to get into the boss ranking. So we're going to go from the first boss in the game to the last one, and the order might differentiate from your playthrough, because like there's some bosses that you can tackle before other ones. Like sometimes you have a choice of which boss to fight, sometimes you don't. But anyways, let's get into it. So the first boss is Dracula from the prologue, and already we're in S tier. Actually, you know what? We're going above S tier. Oh, whoops. And the reason why we are going above S tier is because the prologue scene with Richter fighting Dracula is probably the most iconic moment in like the whole series. Like if you know a moment in the Castlevania franchise that is more iconic than the Die Monster, please let me know. I'd be interested to hear it. So we're gonna put most iconic moment SS tier. If you don't know, if you somehow have not seen the prologue, like if you haven't played the game, or like just go look up like Symphony of the Night intro. The greatest voice acting in any video game ever. You'll not be disappointed. So the boss itself, despite being the scene before the boss being very iconic, basically standard Dracula for Castlevania. First phase, he throws fireballs at you, throws balls of like magma and stuff at you. Just gotta hit him. That's it. And if you die during this boss, which I did on my first ever playthrough, Maria, this is Maria, but she looks different in the rest of the game because she's older. The prologue is just a flashback. She'll like come and resurrect you basically. And then his second phase, he turns into this dragon, which you see right here. He'll jump around occasionally, shoot fireballs at you. So yeah, if you don't know, that's the the standard Dracula battle in Castlevania. It's also the final battle of the first game, but obviously with NES graphics. Anyways, moving on. Next up we have Gaibon and Slagra. It's only the first boss, and we're doing double bosses. So I don't know why they just didn't include them together, but honestly, I'm thinking B tier. They're both pretty dang good for first boss standards. Yeah, I was honestly kind of impressed. Like usually first bosses, like it's just like a piece of cake. Like I died like 3 times to these guys. um, but yeah, honestly, not much to say. So like, Slagra, it's the bird-looking one. He'll like, if you hit him, Gaibon will pick him up, drop him, and eventually he'll lose his staff. And then he'll start like stretching out to try and attack you when he gets dropped down. And then Gaibon, he'll shoot fireballs at you, and then once he loses a certain amount of health, he'll turn red, and then he'll become like more aggressive, shoot bigger fireballs. But yeah, not much to say. Pretty good first boss. All right, and now we're going from S plus and B tier to Die Monster tier, the Doppelganger. And there's two of them. Both of them are honestly equally bad. So the first fight is only the second or third boss, if you count the prologue, the third boss in the game. Honestly, if it was later in the game, like maybe like the 10th or 8th, like maybe if it was like a bit later in the game, maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but it just sucks. It's just he's just a cheap asshole. Um, Pretty terrible. The way to beat him, I recommend using the basil lard or something. It's like a dagger. It's really really fast. It's really good for this fight, and it'll just like run around, turn into a bat, fly across the room, um, throw knives at you. That's about it. In the second fight, like pretty much all he did in my second playthrough, because I can't really remember fighting him during my first playthrough. During my second playthrough, the second doppelganger fight, like all he did just like go back and forth using the wing smash or the mist. Like all he did is go back and forth between two spots. Pretty dang annoying, terrible boss, doesn't belong in this world, and it is a miserable little pile of secrets. Anyways, moving on to better bosses, we have Scylla. Honestly, A tier. So basically, also I should mention, um, spoiler. There's gonna be some spoilers in this video, so if you haven't played the game yourself, go do it. This game is absolutely effing awesome. I recommend. I think everyone should play it before they die. But yeah, so Scylla, basically, you'll go to a small room, and then one of the worms that lives on her. That sounds really really weird. The giant worm attacks you. Doesn't have much health. You kill it. Then you go up, and then you find Scylla. And then she's got three more worms that you have to attack. And honestly, when I saw like the three more worms, I was like, "Holy crap, dude! I just got one down, and now I got to fight three." But they aren't that bad. If you have the axe, you'll take them out easy. And then Scylla herself is even easier. Like you'll have to get like behind her to deal a lot of damage. Um, but you will take damage when you get behind her. So yeah, she's pretty easy, pretty decent first boss, or pretty decent fourth boss. So yeah, not much to say. All right, next, um, the Hippogriff, I believe, B tier. Honestly, I don't. I kind of remember on my first playthrough, I killed this guy pretty quickly, but for some reason on my second playthrough, it took a bit longer. Um, yeah, basically, it flies around, drops down, shoots fireballs, occasionally lays eggs. I don't know what happens if you don't smash the eggs. I'm guessing baby hippogriffs. But yeah, not much to say. Pretty easy boss, kind of fun. Yeah, B tier. All right, now what? I'm gonna say I don't know how to say this guy's name, but I think it's Karasuman. Karasuman. That if you know how to pronounce it, please tell me. But yeah, this guy's probably one of the easiest bosses in the game. And what's really embarrassing is I died like 3 times to this dude on my first playthrough because I didn't know how to beat. It's so embarrassing. Like basically just keep constantly hitting him. Like every time he gets hit, he'll like get stunned for a second and just like wail on him. I was trying to play it safe using like holy water and stuff. Bad idea. Just absolutely go to town on this guy. So yeah, D tier, honestly. Nothing that special, but yeah, I don't know. All right, now what do we got? Gee, I don't know. Crap. Okay, I think I'll do Werewolf and Minotaur. I'm gonna say B tier. Kind of like a low B tier. Um, yeah, low B tier. Honestly, I think the Minotaur is better. Um, Werewolf is pretty annoying, but he goes down pretty quick. And then Minotaur, he'll like throw his axe at you, try to uppercut you. That's it. Basically, yeah, that's like the whole fight. Anyways, moving on. Um, Now we got the Lesser Demon. I should have included this guy later. Yeah, not much to say. Basically, throws fireballs at you, flies around, summons enemies, and the worst part of this fight is whenever he's summoning an enemy, which he does a crap ton of times. That's probably the most frequent attack he uses is summoning enemies. Like he'll be invincible when he summons one. But yeah, pretty honestly, nothing special. C tier. Um, Now what? I'm gonna go Cerberus. Kind of the same as Lesser Demon, not very hard, mildly annoying. Like I feel like on my second playthrough, most of his attacks, like the worst part about bosses in this game is most of the time it feels like they only use like one attack. And I know like that's what the older bosses in the series did, but like or older games in the series did, but like this is a PS1 game. The, the games, like the older games, were on like SNES, Sega, Genesis, NES. Like we're past that. We should have bosses with varied attacks and stuff. Honestly, I'm gonna put him in C tier. I really hated his like fireball flurry attack. That's the one he used the most. Like it felt like it happened. It felt like 5 minutes when he was doing that attack. But yeah, all right, now I think we're down to the succubus. We're down to the last three bosses of the regular castle. Succubus is S tier. Very easy fight. Both playthroughs I used the ghost familiar to the ghost familiar just did most of the work. Um, and on the second playthrough, like on the second playthrough, she was in a corner the entire time, and I just like absolutely destroyed her. Um, so kind of big spoilers, come or not really, but if you don't want to have one of the coolest moments in the series spoiled, I suggest you skip ahead about a minute. So basically, there's like this weird save point, and when you enter it, you'll go into a nightmare where Alucard witnesses his mother's death, and then his mother is like, "You must hate humans. You must kill humans. Go kill that human over there." And he's like, "No, you didn't say that when I remember. Like I remembered you dying. You didn't say that." And then basically the succubus is like, "Ha, I was disguised as your mommy." And then Alucard's like, "I'm gonna freaking kill you, lady." And he does just that. It's kind of like a slightly lesser version of the Scarecrow encounters from Batman Arkham Asylum. But yeah, pretty cool moment. Not very hard, but Scarecrow in Arkham Asylum wasn't very hard either, so S tier. Alright, now we have possibly one of the worst bosses in video game history, Olrox. Die Monster. I would put him below Die Monster tier, below Saturn exclusive. Like, this dude absolutely effing sucks. So if any of you here have played fighting games, you know that fighting game bosses are extremely cheap. Yeah, this guy is basically a fighting game boss because of how cheap he is. So basically, he'll just like open up fireballs from the ground and stuff. Um, and then like or like he'll like make fire things from the ground, and then while that is happening, he will like throw a beam at you, which he does a freaking like he does that like a lot of freaking times, and each of those like beams that he throws does like 20 freaking damage, and that's only his first phase. Also in the first phase, he like opens a portal with like a bunch of skulls, and like they fly at you. They're kind of like less annoying Medusa heads, and he also like floats around the room, kind of like the hippogriff does. But yeah, and in the second phase, he turns into this um, green creature, like you see here. I don't know why. Like all the two-phase bosses all only have the second phase, but yeah, his first phase, he kind of looks like this a little bit, but not really. Yeah. Probably the worst boss in the game, honestly. Um, yeah. In his second phase, he'll like shoot fireballs at the ground. I got hit by those a crap ton of times on my second playthrough and my first. Like I was so close to beating him on my first playthrough, and after I lost, I freaking screamed the hell. Like I screamed bloody murder at the TV. I was like, this boss is absolutely horrible. Like yeah, I wish this boss didn't exist. Like you know how every game has that part, like it's like an annoying part. Yeah, this is that. Yeah. So screw you, Olrox. You can suck a fat one. Alright, now we're getting a little bit better. We have Richter. My first playthrough, when I encountered Richter, he was like insanely hard. I was like, how the hell am I going to beat this guy? That is until I discovered if you wear the Holy Mail, all of his attacks will do like 1 damage. I'm not kidding. And on my second playthrough, I had the Sword Familiar, which I didn't have the Sword Familiar on my first playthrough until like the Inverted Castle. And the Sword Familiar destroyed this guy in like 5 seconds. No, like 2 seconds. Or should I say like a little bit of spoilers coming up here. So to get the good ending, I guess, to actually get to the Inverted Castle in the secret Marble Gallery clock room. I know it's a lot of information to take in, but if you played the game, it makes sense. And then with the holy glasses, you'll see that Richter has a green orb that is controlling him. And to unlock the inverted castle, you'll need to destroy that green orb, because then it reveals that Shaft, which we'll get to in a second, is controlling Richter and like manipulating him, and that's why Richter has been evil this whole game. So yeah, just destroy the green orb, get the good ending. Richter won't die. But yeah, like this guy got annihilated in like seconds, but that being said, he's probably one of the most important bosses in the game besides the final boss, obviously. Um, I feel like fights against like human characters like Richter or Maxim or like Julius, I feel like those fights in Castlevania, they always kind of suck, not gonna lie. Sorry if you like those fights, they just seem like really cheap to me, like kind of like a fighting game boss, but still, honestly, like Maxim or Julius don't really have too many tricks that you can use on them. Except if you have the Bolt Book and the Bible and Harmony of Dissonance when you fight Maxim. But that's a video for another time. But yeah, Richter, B tier. All right, now we have all the inverted castle bosses. So first up we got the Darkwing Bat. Basically, if you don't know, it's basically the giant bat boss fight. It's usually like one of the first fights in all these games, but not this time. Not much to say. Just flies around, like uses its wings to like stir up the wind and throw you against the wall, kind of like the doppelganger does. Not much to say. C tier, decent fight. Not like yeah, not much to say. Just kind of mid tier fight. And it's one of the required bosses to open the inverted marble gallery clock room, where you fight the final boss, which we'll get to in a second. Trust me. All right. Now we got the second required boss, Medusa. On my first playthrough, this fight was worse than Olrox. All she did was turn me into freaking stone. That's literally the only attack she has, is shooting a stone beam and turning you into stone, and you have to wiggle your controller stick for like 5 minutes. Yeah, that's probably the worst status effect in the game, is getting turned to stone. I honestly really effing hated this fight. But yeah, honestly, on my second playthrough, I had the knowledge of the Alucard shield plus shield rod, and I took this boss out in like 3 seconds. So honestly, bottom of D tier. Actually, you know what? Yeah, just because the sheer rage I felt on my first playthrough fighting Medusa. Like the Medusa heads are like some of the worst enemies in video game history, and then when you actually have Medusa as a boss, it's still horrible. Yeah, screw you, Medusa. Just like all rocks, you can suck a fat one. Alright, now the third required boss of the Inverted Castle, Akmodon II, or Mummy Man. This guy took me a couple tries to beat on my first playthrough. Second playthrough, haven't fought him yet, but I'll get to that. Honestly, pretty decent fight. Like, he'll like extend his arm to try to punch you. He'll spawn like toxic gas clouds around him. He can throw you into the wall. Honestly, pretty good fight. I'm gonna put this in B tier. Honestly, I don't think I don't think a lot of the bosses in this game were all that special. Although that might be after playing Batman Arkham City, which probably has my favorite bosses in like any video game ever. Like, I honestly think Batman Arkham City permanently raised my standard for video game bosses. And I know a lot of people say Origins has better bosses, but honestly, for me, I think it's Arkham City has the best bosses. But yeah, anyways, decent boss, B tier. Alright. Now the fourth required boss, the creature, or Frankenstein, or Frankenstein's monster if you're a nerd. Um, D tier. All he does is roll around like a freaking Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, that's all he does. Like, he does have another attack where he slams his hammer down at you. He rarely does that. Most of the time, he's just rolling around constantly. Not very fun. So, D tier. But I'm going to put him above whatever this guy's name is. Karasuman. I'm going to just... whatever. This guy. Yeah. Alright. And then the final required boss for the Inverted Castle is Death. Straight up. This is his second phase. Obviously, his first phase. If you know what the Grim Reaper looks like, you know his first phase. Yeah, honestly, I'm thinking A tier. This dude is pretty easy. Even though usually he's like one of the hardest bosses in every Castlevania game he's in, but honestly, I thought it was a pretty good fight. Like, as soon as I walked into the boss room and saw Death, I was like, oh no, on my first playthrough. And so I just backed right back out of there. But yeah, he's really not that bad. His first phase, he just throws scythes at you, throws orbs at you. Second phase, he looks like that. He throws his scythe boomerangs at you. Yeah, pretty fun fight. It's good to get him back after he stole all your equipment in the beginning. But yeah, all right. Now we got. Two of these are. Well, these two are required to beat the game, but I think. Oh shoot, dude! I totally forgot Legion or Grand Falloon, whatever. Dude, how did I forget Legion? Um. So yeah, this is Legion. Probably the coolest, probably the coolest boss in the game. Giant sphere of corpses, and underneath all those corpses is a tentacled laser creature. How effing awesome is that? So yeah, I think this boss. Well, this is the first appearance of this boss. I think this might be one of the most balanced bosses in video game history, or at least this iteration of him. So basically, you attack him, and then as you attack him, corpses will fall off of him, and they'll get up and attack you. And as you get more and more, you'll see the tentacles, and then the tentacles will shoot lasers at you. But yeah, it's kind of annoying because there's like so many corpses that fall down on you during this Legion fight. But yeah, and the laser attacks, they deal a lot of damage, but they are easily telegraphed. So very balanced, and I think the I haven't played every single Castlevania game that has Legion, but I've played but in Harmony of Dissonance and and Aria of Sorrow, I think those Legion fights are better, except for Legion Corpse. That one was kind of for me. Yeah, Harmony of Dissonance has 2 Legion fights, but that's a video for another time. But yeah, so that's Legion, probably one of the best bosses in this series, if not the best boss. But yeah, S tier, definitely. All right. Now we got the fake trio of Trevor Belmont, Grant Dunasty, yes, that's his real name, and Saifa Belnades. Yeah, this is a three person fight. So I don't know. They should have just included all three of these guys, but honestly, some of them are better than others. So Saifa, she's kind of like Medusa, where all she does is petrify you, but instead of turning you to stone, she just freezes you, which is honestly a lot better than being turned into stone, because it takes less button wiggles to get you unfrozen, but still not very good. Um, D tier. And then Grant, uh, I'm honestly gonna put C tier. And then Trevor, he's just a much easier Richter, B tier. Honestly, yeah. The Castlevania 3 gang, which Castlevania 3 might be the hardest game I've ever played. Um, but I haven't played Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and everyone says that's like the hardest game ever. I don't know if I'll ever play that. I don't know if I'll have the patience, but yeah. All right, 4 bosses left. First we have Beelzebub. Kind of an annoying boss. The first time I fought him, like it's not that hard if you just like go for the head. Like on my entire first playthrough, I did not use the mist at all. The mist will save your effing life turning into mist. But only when you have power of mist, which allows you to go in any direction as mist. Um yeah, basically he has a ton of flies circling him because obviously he's Lord of the Flies. And then he'll have like worms that fall down, and the worms are super tiny, probably the smallest enemies in the game. Basically, you just disembody this ginormous zombie, and that's one of the only good things about this guy. He's got a pretty dang cool design. Um, yeah. So basically, what you got to do, what you should do is like you go up to his head, using the mist form, and then preferably use the Alucard shield plus shield rod and just absolutely demolish this guy. But yeah, honestly, because of how I was a much wiser man on my second playthrough and was able to defeat him in like one attempt, I'm honestly gonna put him actually at C tier. Honestly, um, hold on. What? Okay, okay, wait. Yeah, there we go. All right, 3 bosses left. All right, so now we got either the easiest or hardest boss in the game, depending on your knowledge, freaking Galamoth. So if you have the Barrel Circlet, Chrysogrim, Alucard Shield, Shield Rod, this guy will be an absolute joke. If you don't have any of those things, say goodbye. This guy is... You're not going to win if you don't have one of those 3 items I listed. So, I haven't fought this guy yet. On my second playthrough, but first playthrough he took me 2 tries. All I had was the Chrysogrim. But so yeah, he's honestly like from his design alone, he looks really sick. I'm gonna put him in A tier. Um, yeah, that's not much. Like, so basically, what he'll do is he'll lean forward, shoot lightning at the ground. Which all that lightning, if you have the barrel circlet, you'll just gain health, like a ton of health from that. Which, yeah, that's one of the flaws of this game. It can be too easy sometimes. Sometimes, like my first playthrough, the inverted castle was absolute hell on earth, but on my second playthrough, it was smooth sailing. Um, but yeah, Galamoth is A tier. Oh, I forgot to mention. So, aside from the lightning attack, he'll also shoot black balls at you, like black orbs of energy. Those probably got me the most when I fought him. But yeah, he goes in A tier. Probably one of the most famous bosses of this game, aside from the first boss, Legion, and yeah. Alright, last 2 bosses. I guess these are the final bosses, because you fight one, and then immediately after, you fight the other. We have Shaft, the priest who's named after a penis. Part of the penis is the shaft. This guy's pretty annoying. I fought him today on my old save because you can just go and fight the dudes and stuff after you've beaten the game because it doesn't. Yeah, never mind. This guy's pretty annoying. Although he can be taken out extremely easily with Alucard Shield Rod, or the Chrysogrim. I'm gonna put him at C tier, above these guys. Yeah. And finally, last but not least, we have Count Dracula himself, sitting on this horrific monstrosity of a throne. This guy took me. I have not beaten this guy on my second playthrough, but really cool boss. And at some point in the boss, he summons a succubus and then crushes her in between his two hands, and he does the same with Karabababa, whatever this guy's name is. Yeah, did not take me very long at all to defeat on my playthrough, but still, the design of this fight is awesome. I like his boss theme, even though it kind of sounds like quacking ducks at the beginning. But yeah, that's S tier. So that is my list. If you don't agree with me, just go about your day. We can respect each other's opinions, and if you can't respect each other's opinions and stuff, then what are you doing with your life? So yeah, that's my whole list. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later.